Has it ever happened that someone cooked for you with a smile on their face, and a few hours later, you ended up with an upset stomach, not by accident, but because, oops, they forgot you're allergic? Or worse, they deliberately served bad food, under-seasoned, overly spicy, and still made you feel bad for complaining. It sounds absurd, but it's no coincidence. It's a pattern, and it has a name. Narcissists can be generous, at least at first glance. They offer well-served dishes, carefully prepared dinners, desserts made with dedication, but something is off there, something invisible, until you've lived through it long enough to recognize the silent game being played. In these cases, food isn't just food. It's a language, a form of indirect communication, full of implied messages, of control, of power, of manipulation. And the cruelest part, all disguised as care. You eat, trying to ignore that strange feeling in your chest. The quiet pain whispering, you don't really matter that much, and no one notices. After all, who doubts the intentions of someone who prepares a meal? That's precisely the genius of subtle abuse. It goes unnoticed by those who haven't experienced it, and it deeply hurts those who have. If this makes sense to you, keep watching. My name is Lauren Mitchell, and my purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you. Join our growing community, subscribe to the channel, and give this video a like. I count on your support. Before we continue, one thing needs to be clear. Cooking poorly or not being interested in the kitchen does not mean someone is a narcissist. A dish without salt, a quick meal, or a frozen snack aren't signs of abuse on their own. What we're exploring here isn't a judgment about culinary skills. It's about repetitive, intentional patterns, moments where food becomes a form of toxic emotional communication. If you've noticed deliberate behaviors where the way food is served reflects more than just carelessness, then keep watching. First habit, unequal distribution of food. Have you ever sat at the table and realized that the person next to you received a hot, freshly served, richly seasoned meal, while yours was cold, barely warmed, and bland? And it wasn't an accident. It was repeated, conscious. This is the first strange and deeply toxic habit of a narcissist in the kitchen, distributing food unequally based on how they feel about you at the moment. When they want to impress someone, narcissists are capable of preparing meals worthy of TV shows. The presentation is flawless, the smell delicious, the generosity seemingly sincere. But when they're irritated, projecting their shame, or simply choosing to ignore you, the meal becomes a silent form of punishment. You get the leftovers, overcooked rice, stale bread, watery sauce. Nothing serious enough to complain about, just enough to hurt. And the cruelest part? They say nothing. They act like everything is normal. Sometimes they even make jokes. You're so sensitive today. It's just food, but you feel it. That clear, painful message. You don't matter that much. This dynamic often occurs in families where the narcissist has favorites. One child loved, another ignored. One spouse pampered, another neglected. Food becomes a secret language. Who deserves care? Who should be punished? Who's out of favor today? And the worst part is, no one sees it. Outsiders only see someone cooking, and they praise it. You're so lucky to have someone who cooks for you every day. And inside, you swallow both the plate and the feeling of abandonment along with it. Eating should nourish, but in these cases, it feeds the pain, because good food is served as a gift, and bad food as a message. And this isn't random. It's a choice, and it's abuse. Second habit, cooking only for applause. There comes a moment when you start to realize the food isn't being prepared out of care. It's being prepared for admiration. When there's an audience, the whole atmosphere changes. Nose buried in cooking magazines, eyes lighting up watching complex recipe videos, hands eager to serve something worthy of praise. Suddenly, the kitchen smells irresistible. Portions are generous. Presentation, flawless, and everyone loves it. Guests smile, compliment, ask for seconds. And there, sitting at the table, you see someone who seems capable of love, dedication, generosity, someone who tries hard to make others happy. But when the house is empty, everything changes. The kitchen loses its charm. There are no more delicious smells, nicely plated dishes, or thoughtful details. In their place come pre-packaged meals, quick and flavorless dishes, cold, careless food. There are no more applause. And without applause, there's no interest in cooking anymore. The love for food doesn't really exist. It's the attention it brings that they love. Food isn't a genuine act of affection. It's a tool to feed their ego, a way to receive recognition, validation, power. You start to understand that it was never about you. It was about how he wanted to be seen, about how many compliments he could get, about how many people would say, "What an amazing person. So dedicated, so present." But in private, behind closed doors, the care disappears, the energy fades away, and once again you wonder, if I'm not in the audience, am I still part of the story? Cooking for applause isn't caring, it's performance, and you live in it as an extra. Third habit, using food as punishment. There are certain meals you never forget, not because they were bad, but because of how they made you feel. You take a bite and taste something off. The seasoning is wrong, the food seems undercooked, or inexplicably, it's almost unbelievably spicy. You glance at the person who served it and ask quietly, "Do you think maybe you overdid the salt? Or the chili?" They respond with indifference. "I don't know, I tasted it before serving. It seemed normal, but it wasn't, and you know it, because this has happened before. This wasn't a culinary mistake. It was a silent message, a punishment without words, a note delivered on a plate." This is the third strange and deeply cruel habit of a narcissist in the kitchen, using food as a form of emotional revenge. When they're angry, hurt, or simply want to make you uncomfortable, they don't shout. They don't need to. Instead, they do something more effective. They make your life unpleasant in subtle ways. They serve a deliberately bad meal. No explanation. No warning. No, just enough to make you try to figure out on your own what's going on. And when you mention it, they quickly deny, mock, or shift the blame. "You've always been too sensitive to flavors. Maybe my taste just changed. No one else complained. Could the problem be you?" And like that, you begin doubting yourself. You start thinking maybe you're overreacting, that awful meal was just an accident, until it happens again and again. Then you realize this isn't negligence. It's a choice. It's control. It's abuse disguised as normality, because food is essential. Everyone needs it. And when someone uses that sacred space to hurt you, it's a deep violation. It's like them saying, without saying, "Today, you don't deserve care. Today, you don't deserve comfort. Today, you'll feel uncomfortable. And no one will notice. And no one does. After all, who suspects a meal?" Fourth habit, future faking through food. Can you remember the last time you heard something like this? "I want to cook your favorite dish. I'm even thinking about trying that new recipe you love." Or, "Soon I'll surprise you with a special meal. You deserve it." At the moment, you felt a tightness in your chest, not from pain, from hope. After all, how long had it been since someone spoke like that? How long had it been since you'd heard kind promises? Promises that seemed to come from a genuine place. And then, nothing happened. You showed up at her place, excited, maybe even brought something to help. But there was no planned meal, no effort, no surprise. And when you brought it up, the response came quickly, wrapped in fake affection. "I completely forgot, but I know you eat anything with love, right?" Or worse, "I can't believe you still remembered that. How sweet." Right then, something inside you broke. Not because of the food, but because you realized you had been manipulated. That's the fourth strange and deeply painful way a narcissist uses food: future faking, creating false emotional expectations through promises they never intend to keep. It's when they use food to pull you back in, to keep you waiting, to trap you in an endless cycle of anticipation and disappointment. They know exactly what they're doing. They know you value that gesture. That, to you, it represents care, reconnection, change. And that's precisely why they mention it, to give you a taste of something that will never arrive. And every time it happens, you start doubting yourself. You think maybe you're expecting too much. Maybe you overestimated how important that promise was. Maybe you're just always expecting more than you should. But it's not you. It's the silent manipulation of someone who knows exactly how to feed your hope, only to leave you starving later. Because food can nourish, but it can also be used to make you miss something you never even had. And that emptiness hurts far more than physical hunger. Fifth habit, they pretend to sacrifice. While secretly serving themselves, you get home. The kitchen is silent. No inviting aromas, no bubbling pots, no comforting sounds of someone preparing something special. On the table, a simple meal, maybe even leftovers. Bland grilled chicken, overcooked vegetables, flavorless rice. It looks like hospital food. You try to eat anyway, but your stomach and your heart aren't fooled. She looks at you and sighs dramatically. "I've been so tired lately. I haven't even had the energy to cook properly." Or, "This month has been tough. We need to save money." And you believe her. Because that's what we do with people we love. We give them the benefit of the doubt. We accept their excuses. We try to understand. But later, in the middle of the night, you wake up to the sound of the microwave. You walk into the kitchen and find something unexpected. Fancy fast food wrappers, remnants of a juicy burger, maybe even the strong smell of fried food. That's when you understand. It wasn't lack of energy. It wasn't financial hardship. It was a choice. She just didn't care about serving you something good. Meanwhile, she gave herself exactly what she wanted. This is the fifth strange and deeply cruel way a narcissist uses food, pretending to sacrifice while secretly indulging themselves. It's as if they're saying, without saying, you deserve little. I don't. It's abuse disguised as generosity, control disguised as care. It's the kind of behavior that makes you question your own perception, because when you confront them, the response often comes quickly, wrapped in false humility. I barely tasted it. I wasn't hungry. Or worse, I thought it'd be better for me to eat something light. I just wanted to make sure you had something to eat. But you saw. You smelled it. And you know it wasn't just a small bite. It was a whole meal, completely different from yours. And there, once again, you face a painful reality. It wasn't a lack of time. It wasn't a lack of resources. It was a lack of consideration. Food is one of the most intimate spaces we have, an act of care, of love, of emotional and physical nourishment. But when someone uses that space to silently neglect you while indulging themselves behind your back, it's like taking more than just food away from you. It's like taking away part of your right to be valued. Now, I want to ask you, had you ever thought that abuse doesn't only come through yelling or slamming doors? That it also shows up in cold plates, empty promises, bad meals served with a smile. These 5 habits aren't coincidences. They are patterns, repeated choices, subtle but deeply painful ways of emotional communication. A silent way of saying, you don't really matter that much. And the cruelest part is, no one notices. After all, who doubts the intentions of someone who cooks for you? But now you know. You know how to recognize when food becomes a tool of control. You know how to identify when an apparently kind gesture hides a message of contempt. You know how to tell the difference between genuine care and disguised manipulation. And that changes everything. Because now, every time you feel that tightness in your chest, even before tasting the plate, you won't ignore it. You'll understand. You'll remember that abuse doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes it serves dinner, and you'll also remember that you deserve more. You deserve real nourishment, sincere care, genuine love. Food should feed you, not leave you starving for respect. If this video made sense to you, know that in the description below, there's a link to support materials carefully prepared to help you understand what you've experienced, rebuild your self-esteem, and move forward more lightly. If this video resonated with you, check out the suggested video on your screen. It might be the perfect complement. And remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.